Okay, we're going to find another way to find a common denominator. One way of finding the least common multiple is to list the multiples. Now, we've done problems like this. 1/2 plus 1/3, and we know to multiply 2 times 3, and we get 6, and we'll use 6 as our common denominator. Now, we've also done problems like this. 1/2 minus 1/4. And we can use 4 as a common denominator because 2 times 2 is 4. Instead of using 8, we're going to decide to use 4 because it's easier. Now, what do we do if they're bigger numbers than that? What if I had 11/12 minus 7/16? Now, those numbers, I certainly don't want to multiply 12 times 16 to get my common denominator. I'll wind up with a really big number. I don't think I can 12 doesn't go into 16. It's not, 16 is not a multiple of 12, so I can't just count by 12s and get to this. But I can list my multiples. So what I will do is list the multiples of 12 and 16. So 12, you're going to do 12, 24, 36, 48, and you could keep going. 16, I've got 16, 32, 48. Wow, 48 is a multiple of both of them. So that would be a great number to use as my common denominator. Now, if you had trouble multiplying, I just did these multiples in my head, but you could always figure them out by adding 16 plus 16 gives you 32, plus another 16 gives you 48, and you could list your multiples that way. So now that I know that I'm going to use the multiple 48, my least common multiple, in order to multiply these two numbers and get a common denominator, on the 12, it's 1, 2, 3, it's the fourth multiple. So I'm going to multiply this number by 4 over 4. On 16, it's the third multiple. 16, 32, 48, so I'll multiply by 3 over 3. Now I get 44 over 48 minus 21 over 48, and my answer is 23 over 48. Now, sometimes I could come up with a number that had to be simplified from here, but this number is already simplified, and so that's my answer. So do you see how it can be easier to list the multiples than it is to multiply these two numbers together? Think about what you would have to multiply everything by, and then how much trouble it would be to simplify at the end if you did it by another method. Now, one little side note. You know that you can list multiples to get the least common multiple. You could also use prime factorization. You've done that before. And if you had some really, really big numbers, you could always use prime factorization to find your least common multiple.